One more to come.
Do you want us to run?
Yeah, go on. Let's just see. Have a little bit. He hasn't even took his coat off. It's nice.
Mr. Invisible. Where's Mr. Invisible?
Right.
Okay, so this is me here. So on Twitter, I'm @JohnSayers, and I've got the blog at the bottom there, sayersjohn.blogspot.com. And basically this one, I'm just going to talk about planning, and fundamentally with planning, for me, it is questioning at the core of it. So I'm going to tell you a few strategies that I use to literally implement questioning at the core, and mainly have it taken away from me and more that the students lead where the unit goes in a way with their questioning. So let's see if I can get this right. So I'm going to show you something that I've done quite a lot of work on, which is the question matrix. And I found that it's allowed me to implement different strategies with all of these sort of themes in. So whole school CPD, so this matrix is stuck in the staff room, and people just question what they are doing in different ways. And we found it's generated an awful lot of discussion and made us think of how we actually do things in our academy. So it's very, very good for like questioning teaching and learning that's going on in your school. Great for planning, so good planning for a lesson, a unit, the whole year. And great for student-teacher identification of questions that they've used, I've used, and that they've created as well. Great for marking, and you know, I do an awful lot of work with marking with students and feedback with a thing called Critique by Ron Berger, and I found that the question matrix has just helped me enhance that feedback to go from, say, a low order sort of question, so a simple closed question, to actually getting the kids thinking deeply with their feedback, and also applying it to questions, a picture. So let me go through things. So planning, I've got a few little planning sheets for you to have a look at. This is the 5-minute one by Teacher Toolkit. And there's this one which I've been doing quite a lot of work with at the minute by Hayley Thompson in 1982 on Twitter. The 7 E's of planning. So basically just getting you thinking of a variety of things going on in your lesson. Elicit, what do the kids know? How are you going to engage them in that lesson? What are they going to explore? What are they going to explain? Not me. Try and get, you know, the kids involved. Like what you saw in the Soul and Lease, of the culture where the students are doing the work. What are they going to explain? Elaborate. How could they elaborate with each other? How could they extend it, take it further? And then what are they going to evaluate at the end of the lesson? So it's a very good sort of lesson plan. I've been using it with my PGC students and the people I coach at school, and they absolutely love it. So say I've got a typical sort of lesson going, I've just put it on here so you can see how it might work. 4 objectives, 4 walls in my room. Each objective has a wall. So say if a kid's struggling with a question, or with that objective, they can go and stick a post-it note on that wall. If someone else knows that objective or done some work, they can go and pick up the post-it note, write a little response. So then, you know, the students are helping each other out with their objectives. Now, you know, with that, it might sound an okay sort of lesson, quite a lot of different strategies going on, but as at the top there, do I know the questions that I'm going to be asking? And what I sort of found a year or so ago, maybe a couple of years as well, is that I'd have a lesson and then the kids would be out the lesson, I think, oh, we should ask that question. We should ask that question to them. So I've generated this, which is like a question plan, getting me to think lots of different strategies. From closed hinge points, so things that are going to fundamentally impact on that lesson. So say if I'm doing a shoot, volcano, or I'm doing a composite cone, if they're getting the wrong plate boundary that's happening on, that's crucial to their learning. So I want to identify that pretty quickly. Putting questions in the objectives. So I love sort of like TV quiz and things, and the kids that I teach seem to like them as well. So we do a lot of sort of quiz activities. The question one, like I've mentioned, pause, bounce, bounce, or what, you know, even better, pause, pass, and bounce. Think if you've got a table, I could pose a question. I could then pause for a minute, let you all discuss that question. Then you pass it to each other, what you are thinking, your answers. And then bounce it around the room. And so then it becomes more, you know, basketball questioning rather than, as Dylan Williams says, table tennis. So, say for example, I could ask you a question, you give me an answer, I give a response, everyone else is passive. This is what I'm mainly going to talk about for the next few minutes, so this question matrix. So let me go on a few bits. So with sort of like this, with things, I've got like question cards which can help kids generate questions and ask them. Whole school CBD, I've talked about that. So this is like what's in the staff room, big area on the wall, and then people would just like write questions. So who will we sort of implement with a certain strategy? So who do we want to focus on? Might be that we want to focus on free school meal children, etc. So each student has got actually this one in the back of their books, but let me just go back to, if I can get this. So I've gone through various models with it, but basically the whole idea is that students and myself would generate questions using this grid. Top left, very closed questions, down to here, very, very open-ended questions. And with this, a variety of thinking can be delivered from it. So the whole concept of it is to get students to use a whole range of different threads of questions, rather than just, so what is or where did. Because, I mean, I'm a geography teacher, and what I found when I went through the schemes of work that we've got in our school is that the mass majority of the questions were based up in that area, weren't actually allowing students to actually think quite openly and deeply about what they were doing. So it helped in my planning for the whole things that we do. Students have got it in the back of their books, and so basically when they've used a question or created a question, they'll do a little tally thing just to show them a bit of like self-manager of what they do. Then they would sort of do a bit of a traffic light system with it. Red, I don't really get those sort of questions. I can't answer those questions. Yellow, kind of, but I wouldn't really be confident in telling somebody else about it. Green, confident in use, confident in creating those questions, and I can teach somebody else those how to use it. The students really found that very powerful, and it helps me then just check my planning. What questions are we using lesson to lesson? Are we looking for variety? Are we creating variety? So end of units, things instead of maybe being a past exam question for the students go through, they get that in every subject. They get bored of just doing that all the time. Year 12, every single question thread had to be used, so that they had variety in their end of unit test quiz. And what I also did with them is that, you know, glossaries, to interact with your glossaries in subjects, is to use this. So a thing called Stack 'em Jenga. Each brick, a key term in your glossary. And then the students draw out that key term. Do they know what that key term is? Can they answer? Can they draw what that key term is? Can they associate with it? So that's that word. Is there anything else linked to that? And so then every single key word in their unit had to be used, every single question thread. So their end of unit test was so vast and wide, it allowed me to check, you know, deep thinking and deep learning had taken place. And so with that, they, you know, did a load of quiz shows. They did like the Chase, Pointless, how they wanted to do their end of unit test. So some ways, I mean, sometimes they can list them up into lessons. So which keywords did they use in a lesson? And it's great for like brains on a table. I've got this on my blog, so I'm going over time and things. So if you want to have a look at how I use Stack 'em Jenga, have a look on my blog, which is saysjohn.blogspot. Great for marking. So I'm really going over, so I'm not going to go too much in this, but I'll give you, you know, a quick second or so to read that. When you do your feedback, try it out. The Ron Burger strategy. Be kind. Be specific. Be helpful. So, where is your main point? You need. So, with that, they need. I might give them some, you know, something that they've been really good with. I just wanted to get the emphasis of how I've taken it that little step further. So, where is? There's my question prompt. Closed. So then, you know, these ones. How might? So that in my feedback, I'm really allowing maybe some closed off some things, maybe for some low-end students, that sort of style. Then some more open feedback for, you know, higher end ability, or just to challenge all kids really. You know, some of the work that students are like, some of them were about like, you know, how could you identify things? So when kids did with their presentation work, so top ones, these ones here are my year 10s, they're D grade students. And you know, their presentation, the work looks superb. These are year 9s, and you know, with their assessments, their test was like a soul sort of lesson really. It's which volcano would kill us. And you know, great sort of work, 10 pages of writing that they wanted to do, great quality. Student here, so you know, how could she make what the main focus is? That's A1 sort of size poster. she's created of a mind map of how you'd solve global warming. Really deep. Right, I'm really going on. But
Gonna see you getting that.
no, well, yeah, you know, you said you were going to throw it, and I've been wondering, but now, healthy.
Too soft.
So I'll talk about this a bit later on in my 2-minute one, and I will be 2 minutes for that one, I promise. But how I use like the question thing for photo analysis and describing pictures and things like that. Okay.
Thank you, John.